5 races into the season, we've already had surprises, feuds, and some pretty cool shots. But while the calendar reads 2010, it looks a lot like the last 4 years, with the 48 sticking it to the slower 42 and staying in the competition's head.
I'd rather lose to any other 41 cars out there than this 48 car.
With the Clips clock in his sights, will JJ sip bubbly today? Although Jimmy picks up the hardware, a surprise sits on top of the standings. With Childress getting his mojo back, can Happy stay in P1 for another week? The circuit's gonna party like it's 2007 as the season's big wild card shows up today. The return of the spoiler means everyone has a chance to take home checkered. Are the tables turned against Hendrick domination? We got answers galore. And yeah, there's more of this.
You're bad, baby.
NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot, is next on Speed.
NASCAR racing since 1949. This short track at Martinsville is long on history, and recently a race here has been a virtual play date for 4-time champion Jimmy Johnson. 6 times he has visited Victory Lane and claimed the famed grandfather clock. Virginian Denny Hamlin has put up the biggest fight over the past couple of years, but has come up just a bit short. Who can stop Jimmy Johnson in the number 48? Well, that's up in the air. But what we know for sure is that there is a lack of real estate on this short track. It's a true test of man and machine, and just one driver will claim a piece of Martinsville history today. It's race number 123 at this track and race number 6 of the season. We have had 2 short tracks in 2 weeks, and here in Martinsville, the big question is, can anybody stop the Fab Four of Hendrick Motorsports? Going to take a lot more than a few clouds to stop the crowd here at Martinsville. Strap in, everyone. It is time for NASCAR Race Day.
Woo! Yeah. Really big show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot. I'm John Roberts. He is Kyle Petty, and he is race car driver Kenny Wallace. And we are on the short track again, ready for some beating and banging.
We are on the toughest short track in all of the United States, maybe the world, I don't know, but here's why. 500 laps at this racetrack, and here's what these drivers are going to do. It's hard on brakes. This left foot is going to push on the brakes 1,000 times at this racetrack. You only thought a road course was tough on brakes. And then, Kyle and race fans, when the driver gets done, he goes, oh, I'm in good shape. And he gets out of his race car and he goes, whoa, whoa, my left foot's junk. This racetrack is awesome, and it's about brakes. Keep your brakes on the car today, and you have a shot to win.
Yeah, and he's exactly right. This is the oldest track on the circuit. And this is what's so cool. NASCAR has said, we're going back to basics. Let me tell you what. We've been going back to basics at Martinsville since 1949. It's bump and run. It's get her done. And here's the deal. It's have at it, boys. It's been have at it, boys, always here.
It is just as important to slow down here as it is to go fast. For more, let's get you inside this very historic racetrack and join our good friend Wendy Venturini. Wendy, good morning.
Good morning, Johnny. Yes, our second stop of our 6 short tracks of the 2010 season. Now, it's much different than we had last weekend. Bristol, they call this place the paperclip. Well, why is that? It looks just like that, a paperclip. 2 drag strips, 2 U-turns, and it makes for some exciting racing. But will we see much action on the track today, or will Mother Nature prevail? There's precipitation falling from the sky already. There is a cell moving towards us here in Martinsville, Virginia. We have rain, 40 to 60% chance of showers most of the afternoon, coming around the 3, 4, 5 o'clock region. So we'll keep you posted. Hopefully the rain will stay away. Now, we did get rained out for qualifying on Friday here at Martinsville. Surprise on that. So we're starting by our championship point standings. Kevin Harvick in the lead. Of course, last night in Victory Lane for the Camping World Truck Series, can he get a victory here in Martinsville for his first one in the Cup season in 2010? Matt Kenseth trails by only 1 point. Jimmy Johnson chipping away at that 35th up to 3rd. Now, check out Kurt Busch with 1 win this season. He's doing well. Jeff Burton, I think, is bound to get a victory here at Martinsville today. He's awfully fast this weekend. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the top 12. No surprise, and very good to see Junior up there. Also, I think Clint Boyer and Jeff Gordon, who has the most wins here at Martinsville Speedway. Now, if you check out 13th through 24th, Carl Edwards, of course, still on probation. Jamie Mack, our Daytona 500 winner. Mark Martin looks very, very strong today. But check out Denny Hamlin. He's the one I want to point out in 19th. And why is that important? Well, he's headed into surgery possibly tomorrow if we don't get rained out. That torn ACL on his left knee has caused enough pain for Denny Hamlin to have surgery. We're going to hear from Denny Hamlin later on in the show and what implications that could have on the championship point standings. Now, last week we were at Bristol, this week at Martinsville, two incredibly different racetracks. We mentioned the high grooves that we had at Bristol, the self-cleaning racetrack last week. We come to Martinsville, it's so flat, it's 0 degrees of banking, but I think the most important thing to look at are the speeds. You look at the speeds from Martinsville, 19.7 compared to last week at Bristol, 15.6. It's an extreme difference of speed, and Hermie Sadler, when we look at those speeds, I know it means a lot on that racetrack, but it's two different types of racing from last week's short track at Bristol to this week at Martinsville. And for more on that, let's head over to you, Hermie Sadler, in turn 2.
Yeah, thank you, Wendy. When you compare Bristol and Martinsville, it's just like comparing Daytona and Talladega. They call them the both same kind of racetracks, but not even close. Look back at some footage of last weekend's race at Bristol, 30 degrees of banking, high speeds through the center of these corners, lots of racing room, the bottom, the middle, the top. And the key thing is you don't lose a lot of speed through the center of the corner because you got 30 degrees of banking to keep the car going. Well, fast forward here to Martinsville this weekend, look behind me, 12 degrees of banking in these corners, and the radius of these corners is very, very short. What does that mean? You have to slow down a lot in the middle of the corner to get the car turned. That also provides challenges getting forward bike off the corners onto these 800 feet long straightaways, front and back. So it's difficult on the driver, but also the drivetrain, the engine, the transmission, the gear, the brakes, but also very importantly, the driver has got to stay patient and use his head for 500 laps on the racetrack and on this pit road. So it takes a complete effort from man and machine to get to victory lane here at a tough place like Martinsville. Johnny?
Hermie, thanks a lot. We're going to be talking about that a lot today because it's just as important to keep your cool on the short track as it is to go fast.
You know, Kenny Schrader, we're getting ready to run a race here, I don't know, 8-10 years ago, and I said, well, what do you think, Schrader? He goes, well, getting ready to go car wrestling. I said, what do you mean, car wrestling? So it's really funny. You know, you go to Bristol, and here's the sound of the car. Wah, no, 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 wah. You come here, it's like this. Wah, it's crazy, Kyle, and I think Kenny Schrader's word car wrestling is the way it is here.
Just your sound effects make me miss being inside a race car, I'll tell you, because they're spot on, man. They are spot on. Yeah, he's exactly right. You know, and you heard Hermie talk about it. We talk about brakes so much here. It's also hard on gears, the rear gear. It's hard on the transmission. It's hard on the drive shaft. It's hard on the drivetrain. When you buzz this thing up to 9,600 RPMs, you mash that brake and then drop it down to, you know, low 4s, high 3s, you know, 3,000 RPMs in that range. It takes a while for that thing to come down and go back up. So it's tough on these cars. This is where the car preparation at the shop shines. These guys at the shop do a tremendous job.
One last thing. It's hard on the bodies of the race cars, too. Front bumpers and rear bumpers.
And the body of the driver as well. And who needs your own race car when we have Kenny Wallace to make the sounds? We got a big show coming your way from this short track. You want to stay with us. President Mike Helton is going to come by and join us. We have two guys named Petty and two guys named Sadler in one show. Imagine that. Back with more Race Day in a moment.
Wing, we barely knew you. Make way for a blast from the past as the spoiler returns for another go-round.
Taking the wing off is going to make the cars look more traditional.
We'll show you how our favorite car accessory went rear and center and why it's back in the spotlight. Straight ahead, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
NASCAR Race Day is built by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Brought to you in part by eHarmony.com. Are you ready to fall in love? And by Harley-Davidson, the Ride Easy Guarantee. Going on now at your Harley-Davidson dealer.
The city of Martinsville was named for pioneer Joseph Martin, who settled here in 1773. The historic Henry County Courthouse was named for Patrick Henry, and it sits in uptown Martinsville, the city that was incorporated in 1873. The Confederate statue was erected in 1901, and right in the middle of historic uptown is the Big Chair. It was dedicated to Martinsville for the rich history of furniture making. The man who sits in the big chair for NASCAR, Mike Helton, will join us momentarily. But right now we have another little history lesson for you, and that has to do with the spoiler. It's back on the car, and to find out where it came from, let's go back to the 1966 Firecracker 400.
Down here we have the fastest field in the history of motor racing, of any kind, any place, any time, poised and ready for the start of this year's Firecracker 400. The fastest qualifier was Leroy Yarborough with a speed of more than 178 miles an hour. Almost unbelievable, but it's true.
This car, a 1966 Dodge Charger, is the pole car. Driven by Leroy Yarborough, it was here in February and qualified at 172 miles an hour. For the 400 today, it is qualified at better than 178 miles an hour. A 6 2/10 mile an hour speed difference, due in great part to the addition of a new part, a Hemi Charger spoiler. What it does actually is take the air flowing over the rear deck, kick it upward, and create turbulence over the trunk lid, thus forcing the back end of the car onto the track without adding any weight. Makes the car much more stable and easier to handle, and of course faster.
Dodge's simple new spoiler worked like a charm. That little thin strip of metal helped Leroy Yarborough win the pole, and also gave Sam McQuagg the speed and downforce to dominate the field that day, leading 126 of 160 laps with his only Cup victory.
So the 1966 Firecracker 400 is just about to be history. Sam McQuagg, Rookie of the Year last year, really moving into the big time with his first really important NASCAR victory.
The next season, Fords and Mercurys had spoilers on them as well, and by 1969, the spoilers took new shape. A new aerodynamic age in NASCAR was ushered in with the Dodge Daytonas and Plymouth Superbird sporting a high rear wing.
Buddy Baker takes the checkered flag to win the 21st Southern 500. The victory was solid.
The wing had a short lifespan, as NASCAR's smaller engine, mandated in 1971, cut speeds and the need for a rear wing. The spoiler returned and stuck around in various sizes until the car of tomorrow debuted in 2007 with a modern version of the rear wing.
America's best drivers navigate their way around this old reliable track in a new car.
But what's old is new again.
Taking the wing off is going to make the cars look more traditional, and the core race fans want to see that.
44 years after Dodge introduced the spoiler to the sport, it's back and ready for action.
Well, the theme for this year has been back to basics, and it is back to the spoiler starting this weekend here at Martinsville. Here you see the back of Joey Logano's Home Depot Toyota now. This spoiler is 70 degrees. You can see it mounted to the back of this car. Look at these little seals right here. NASCAR actually, once the spoiler is installed in inspection, NASCAR puts these seals on them to make sure that the teams do not raise this spoiler up a little bit to give it additional downforce. So it's locked into place. That's where it'll stay all weekend. Now, if you work your way around this side of the car, remember the shark fin that we saw at Daytona? It is back. It'll be right here on the deck lid of Joey Logano's car, and then another piece coming down the rear glass to create additional side force and downforce for these race cars. Now, spoiler will not be a big issue today as far as handling of this race car, but it will be when we get places like Phoenix coming up and Texas. And there was a test last week at Charlotte Motor Speedway as the teams got back used to running the spoiler on the rear of these cars.
Charlotte's a difficult track to test on because since they changed the track, the tires are really kind of odd. You go out the second time, you're faster. You go out the third time, you're faster yet. It's kind of hard to get a real balance on where you are. So that in itself, more so than the spoiler, I think means that Texas is kind of starting over.
I think the test went well. It was useful for all the teams to go out and work on setups, collect some data, drivers to get a feel for the spoiler versus the wing. All that said, we really never started racing each other, and I don't think I've tried to pass a single car the whole time.
I think Martinsville was a good place to get it put in a place the first race out, but I'm looking forward to seeing a mile-and-a-half track getting to Texas and seeing how you know, it's going to react behind cars and things like that. But so far, so good.
The biggest thing that we learned from that particular test was just that, you know, that the spoiler's not going to turn anything upside down. The next big test is just getting all the cars in a pack and seeing what happens. You know, here in Phoenix, it's still going to be about a lot of mechanical things that, you know, mechanical grip and things that you have to do to the car.
The end plates on the wing allowed the car to get really far sideways, and then it would catch you and straighten you back up. And that's the limiting factor you have in traffic. You push until the car moves around, and you know you're at your limit, and that's all you've got. So I think it might create more spins and more wrecks. If you remember back to when the wing was first introduced, we'd see cars totally sideways, and like, how did he save it? With the old car, there's no way. Well, we're going back to that setup. So there's a chance there will be more cautions because of that, because you don't have the end cross when you get really crossed up.
So there are still a few unknowns about the spoiler, but one thing we do know for sure is it's a very popular decision to re-implement the spoiler. Now to talk to us more about that, President Mike Helton. Mike, thank you for coming by. We appreciate your time on what we know is a very busy day for you, but this is a pretty big decision to make a change like this during the course of a season, in the early going of the season. What all went in, or was there one thing in particular that made this decision happen?
Yeah, I don't think there was one thing in particular as much as there was a lot of conversations that actually goes back to before this car ever saw the racetrack for the first time. You know, we put the wing on this current chassis for all the right reasons: aerodynamics, aero push, side force, everything that the drivers just talked about in the interviews. But through the development of this current chassis in a couple of seasons, full-time seasons that we run it, we've learned a lot of things that we can do aerodynamically that makes the competition on the racetrack at the level that NASCAR fans expect it to be. We can do that now with the spoiler. And oh, by the way, like Mark Martin said, it looks like a NASCAR car with a spoiler on it. I mean, we were talking yesterday during some of the practices of how quick we've got back now to seeing the spoiler on the car on the racetrack in the Sprint Cup garage. In a couple of races from now, it's going to be like we never left the spoiler, I feel like, because it's just so natural. But we can learn things now from aero that we can accomplish with the spoiler, and the guys in the garage area and even younger drivers like a Joey Logano, they still have a lot of experience driving race cars with spoilers on them. So it's not a major new change to them, and they have so much experience with the spoiler that we expect the competition on the racetrack to even start getting even better.
Mike, three things: double file restarts are new. We're going to finish under the green is new. We're back to the spoiler. My point is this: you, NASCAR, it seems like you're listening to the fans more so than ever.
Well, you know, it's a cycle that you experiment with things, you make changes that become very permanent, and you make changes that okay, that was all right, but it's not as good as what it was, and so you begin to cycle things back. So some things are new that are good. Sometimes we change new things and make them old again that are good. So that's just I think that's kind of just indicative of our everyday lives. We do things that we try and we say, nah, I'd rather do it this way. And so you try some things that stick, and you try some things that you go back and change.
All right, I'm gonna bring up an incident that happened 2 or 3 weeks ago that I was very vocal about.
Does this have anything to do with Atlanta?
Atlanta. It was Atlanta, and I was very vocal about it.
I understand.
And I think it was a very polarizing issue. There were fans all the way on one side and fans all the way on the other. Nobody was really in the middle. I applaud you guys and NASCAR for looking at each individual event as an individual event. At the same time, as we're trying to grow the sport and you look at the sport, you think it hurts the credibility not to have a line that says, this is what we're going to do in this situation, or this is what we're going to do in that situation, like they have in other sports.
Well, and I think that NASCAR has a lot of those. I think we've shrunk the grayness of a lot of our rules and regulations down to very go and no go, and we try hard to do that in most every cases. I also think, though, that there's an argument that can be made, and that our sport has so many uniquenesses to it. The playing field every week is different. And there are so many uniquenesses that we can't have a rule book like football or basketball or baseball where everything is very definitive. We still have some elasticity in what we do because of the variousness and the uniquenesses of our sport. The call we made in Atlanta, right, wrong, or indifferent, and it was polarizing, and we knew that whatever call we made would be scrutinized and applauded either way. What we ended up doing, though, and this is what NASCAR has to do, and sometimes calls we make are very clear and easy, and everybody can say, okay, we understand it. Every now and then we have a call that NASCAR, and somebody's got to make it, and it's not maybe popular, it's very complicated, it's not easy to explain, but we have to, NASCAR's role at the end of the day is to make those decisions. What we did in Atlanta is we separated two things. We separated what Carl did from what the 12 car did. And really, quite frankly, the next day was more focused on what the 12 car did than what the 99 car did. So we reacted in the race. We parked the 99 car, which there's a lot of circumstances that people say, well, it didn't make any difference, but it could have. It could have been the first lap. It could have been the second place car. So we separated the two, and we ended up making the call we made, knowing that there was no call that we were going to be able to make out of that everybody agreed with. And it was debatable. It was very polarizing. And we have moments like that in our history, and we're going to have them going forward, but that's just the nature of our sport. Our biggest deal was the 12 car and why it got up in the air. And that's what you see very quickly when you talk about the deck thin and you talk about the dimensions of this spoiler. We learned very quickly from the 12 car in Atlanta how to make those dimensions work in our favor of keeping cars on the ground at mile-and-a-half racetracks. That's the bigger issue of the day. But, you know, I get it, and we've heard a lot from fans.
Did you hear anything from me?
No, not a word.
You just delivered yours very broadly.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's because and it's just one of those calls that NASCAR had to make that was going to be okay with some people and very not okay with others. Yeah. But at the end of the day, somebody's got to make those calls. It's us, and it's tough, but we have to make them.
Mike, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming by today.
Thanks,
glad
guys.
to look at the spoiler out on the racetrack today and see how it performs. Well, we've had a president so far on NASCAR Race Day built by the Home Depot. We're going to have a king coming up a little bit later from this very historic Martinsville Speedway. Stay with us. More NASCAR Race Day is coming your way.
While Jimmy's on top of the world and our coverage for the day, 42 other guys are racing too. Mark, Denny, and Elliott drop in to chat with the boys. And the king tells us the quickest way to victory lane at the clip. Around the turn, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
For the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, it's been 2 weeks and 2 short tracks. And if you're trying to knock off the number 48, this might not be a very good place to try to get it done. Jimmy Johnson has won 6 of these races here, a lot of them recently, but that pales in comparison to some of the numbers he's put together in his relatively short career.
This man can grind the wheels off a race car.
Hey, go, boys! We're back on track.
Jimmy Johnson's been so dominant here all afternoon long.
Jimmy Johnson may just be too strong.
Be the man, you got to.
Jimmy Johnson's gonna win. Jimmy Johnson looks to put double digits in the win column. Thank you.
He is championship material.
Jimmy, that was great, bud. Great job.
Jimmy Johnson Express, just too fast and too strong. Free and clear, and he's headed for all again, boys. How does it feel to be a part of history?
Gas only for Jimmy Johnson. They were going to go with a 2-tire plan, but the Roush cars were going to go for 2 tires. So Chad Canal said gas only for the 48.
Jimmy Johnson off turn 4, 6th in points, leading rookie on the tour, and he's going to win his 13th start.
This is awesome to do in California in front of my hometown. We knew it was going to be close. The tires, it was just going to be close, and nobody said anything. Just let me get my job done, and here we are, victory lane.
Jimmy Johnson off turn 4 comes into the trioval with plenty of breathing room. Jimmy Johnson's going to win the 48 Daytona 500.
I'm going to dedicate this one to all the haters of the 48 team because we won, and we're in victory lane at Daytona for the Daytona 500.
Here's Edwards, bullseye move to the bottom of the racetrack, slides under Johnson, they'll grab the lead, he's in the wall, Edwards slams the wall, and Johnson comes back to the bottom. Jimmy Johnson is going to win today, taking the Camping World RV 400. And Kenseth has a lead by about a car length. Now Jimmy Johnson closes in. Here's the drag race down to the start-finish line. At the stripe,
It's Jimmy Johnson winning here at Las Vegas over Matt Kenseth. Jimmy Johnson led a grand total of 1 lap today here at Las Vegas, but it was the final one, and he grabs his second victory of 2006.
For Jimmy Johnson, it's his 3rd win in the chase, his 6th win this season, the 6th time he will take the checker flag at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Unbelievable.
His 27th birthday was this past Tuesday, and Jimmy Johnson sweeps the Monster Mile this season.
The race is official. Jimmy Johnson won $1 million last Saturday night, and he banks the Coca-Cola 600 tonight.
Nice work, Johnson. Nice work. Great job, Jimmy. Chad, great job, guys.
And Jimmy Johnson indeed makes history tonight and claimed his 4th consecutive Sprint Cup Series championship.
History, boys. No one ever.
It will be career win number 50. It will be his first victory on the high banks of Bristol Motor Speedway.
Yes, yes, yes!
As Jimmy Johnson claims the Food City 500.
50 wins, but I got to tell you right off the bat, that's the coolest burnout I've seen going up the hill at Bristol. That's you've done that a few times, though.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to practice a little bit. I saw some burnout marks from other guys going up the ramp there. And then when I got to the top and I needed to make the turn, I felt like I should just keep it going and try to burn them right into victory lane, and it worked out. So it was a lot of fun.
And what's up with this? I heard your longest ever winless streak, 19 races. That must have been a terrible drought for you.
Yes, in Cup it's been that way, but I went years without winning in ASA, I guess a full year, maybe a little bit more, and then also the same in Nationwide and through the off-road ranks. So I've paid my dues, I've put in my time. It's just neat to be a part of a team where everyone is peaking in their career at the same time, and I think that's what really has separated our team from others over the last 4 years is Chad, Greg Ives, myself, Ron Malik. You go right on down through tire changers, tire carriers, gas man, everybody is peaking at the right time, and that's what has helped us.
You've never really been a numbers guy. I mean, I've talked to you before and said, hey, you got win number 40 at Phoenix. You're like, 40, really? But now that you've got 50, do you put a number out there that you're shooting for as far as, I know a lot of things can change, but do you have a number in line and say, hey, I think we can get to this point?
I don't. I'm kind of weird in a way where the way I have been thinking has worked to this point, so I don't want to change that and start focusing on things I typically wouldn't. I firmly believe that you can overcomplicate things and think about too much, think about what the competition's doing, what your goals are. I just need to show up, put my helmet on, and drive the race car and work as hard as I can and devote all of the focus to that. So I'm just going to stick with what we've been doing. Of course, I want to win as many races as possible and try to win as many championships, and that just naturally comes, but I don't have a hard number set on anything.
Talk about today's race. I know obviously your car's pretty good. Pit ready, you don't have that P1 spot today, a little bit to overcome there, but tell us what your expectations are for today.
Excited for today. We've been trying some different things. I think last night we really hit on some stuff. Yesterday, on that second practice session, we kind of got off base a little bit from where we'd want to be, but we kind of expected that with the direction we're going with the setup of the car. We just can't sit still in the garage area. Even though we've had a ton of success here, this race is in the chase, and it's also leading into some other thoughts to go into Phoenix, going to Loudon, other shorter, flatter tracks. So we're never sitting still, and hopefully we made the right changes last night to be as competitive as we hope to today.
Well, Jimmy Johnson, normally, sometimes you can beat him for the pole, sometimes you can beat him for the first couple hundred laps, but normally, lap 400, he is up front battling for the victory. And fans, you want to stay tuned because later today on race day, this guy sits down with some other legends of this sport that are members of that 50-win club. Cool stuff. You don't want to miss it. That's the champ, Jimmy Johnson, guys.
Yeah, and that is a very elite club to be in. Congratulations to Jimmy once again, Hermie. Let's take a look at Jimmy by the numbers. Won 7 of the last 14 races. He's been dominant on short track races. The 4th fastest driver to get to 50 wins. And like Hermie mentioned, boy, that brutal 19-race winless streak had to have worn on him. But guys, you talk about something that polarizes a NASCAR audience right now. Depending on who you talk to, they'll either tell you that this is great, we're witnessing history, or man, I'm sick of seeing Jimmy win all the time.
Yeah, but I think if you're a Jimmy Johnson fan, you're like right in there saying, man, I love this. And we've gone through this stage with Earnhardt fans. We've gone through this stage with Richard Petty fans, with Rusty Wallace fans, with Darrell Walter fans. When your guy, or the other guy's guy, let me say that, is winning so many races, you hate him. But the best part about this is you're witnessing history. There's a lot of history being made. There's only 12 or 13 guys that have gone over the 50 mark in the 60-some-odd year history of NASCAR, your brother being one of them. So when you look at that, That's an amazing statistic. He did it in a short period of time. Not as short as Jeff, but still a short.
Are these
short
things good or bad, Kenny Wallace? Good or bad for the sport?
It's great for the sport, but you don't know it. You know, all of a sudden you see Tiger Woods come along, Michael Jordan come along, the Yankees come along. But let me just say this about NASCAR racing. I am starting to see more Jimmy Johnson jackets and hats. They're out here at Martinsville. I'm listening. But I will say this. There is always a fun debate. Here's the debate that I love right now. How good is Jimmy Johnson? Well, let me tell you, I'm going to speak my opinion. Jimmy Johnson is the best at closing a race in this new era. In the last 8 or 10 years, he's the best at winning and getting better in the closing laps.
And you know what's dangerous for the competition is that 48 team just seems to be getting better and better, and this is one of their better racetracks here at Martinsville, so we could witness a little bit more history today for the 48 team. We've got to take another quick break here, but still to come, the King, Richard Petty, will join us. We'll talk about Dale Jr.'s frustrating day at Bristol and also have a few surprises along the way. Welcome back to Race Day, everyone. Just a few drops on the camera, but those are going to go away, and we're going to go racing here at Martinsville. That is a brief shower, and we are planning to get 500 laps in here today, and the fans wouldn't have it any other way. Let's take a look at some very impressive numbers from another driver, this one being Scott Speed, one of the turnaround stories of the season. In 09-0 in a couple of columns. This year in 010, top 10s, 1 for Speed, 19 laps led, and you can see the improvement on that team's numbers, and they are now solidly in the top 35, a place they did not occupy last year. Let's go now to Hermie Sadler, who's standing by with the man they call Speed.
Yeah, average finish last year, 32nd. Average finish so far this year, 18th. A great turnaround to start the season. What's been the difference for you?
I don't know, experience, clearly, and just, I guess, learning the sport, you know, and there's still more to learn, but, you know, things have gone the right way a lot this year so far, and, you know, we finished every race except for last weekend in Bristol. We got a little unlucky and got a flat, but I don't know. It's just, I mean, experience is the biggest thing, clearly.
Tell us about this place, Martinsville. A pretty unique racetrack, especially you put 43 guys on this small racetrack. Not a lot of real estate out there.
Yeah, it's different, and it's a lot different than Bristol, actually. So I love it. It's another side of the racing you get to deal with, and you can certainly make enemies here pretty quickly, and you can certainly get people back pretty easily here. So it's always a fun one for us to race.
You know, we talked a lot about you guys having to qualify on speed for the first 5 races of the year. Not only is that mentally tough on the driver and the crew, but it can affect the way you prepare coming to the racetrack, and can affect your practice time. How's this week been different? Not only you know, personally for you, but for the team as you've been able to prepare for the race?
Well, the biggest difference is I believe last year our hauler was somewhere out by the main road. It wasn't inside here, so to be able to park here and you know, to be where we are with around the teams we are right now, I mean, it's a huge difference. And for the whole team, it's for sure a morale booster. And for us, like you said, it gives us a little bit more practice time because you get to go out sort of in the first wave of cars during practice and get a little bit more accurate read on things. So it's good for everything.
Well, Daddy, you got off to a good start. What are your goals now as you head through the middle part of the season?
Just try to stay as close to the front of the points as we can, I guess. I mean, the key is not to make mistakes and to finish races. And if we can do that, then I imagine we'll have a good season for sure.
Well, JR, these guys have made a tremendous improvement from last year to this year, but 18th is not good enough for these guys. You'll see this guy continually get up in the front and battle for top 5s and top 10s, and he's good for the sport. Fun guy.
That's right, Hermie. Let's not forget that his teammate made the chase last year, Brian Vickers, so that team is definitely making strides, the Red Bull organization. Let's take a look at the Camping World Truck Series highlights from yesterday, part of the doubleheader weekend here at the Martinsville Speedway. You see Kevin Harvick sporting the Tide colors. He was going to be pretty easy to spot out on the racetrack as he gets off to a good start.
They didn't even go past the start-finish line, and they were already beating on each other.
Well, that's the idea here. Let's take a look at this one of many incidents here. That's Narain Karthikeyan in the 60 and 76 Brian Johnson.
Well, you know, I mean, that's a deal where somebody wasn't patient. You know, 60 looks like he's going to get on the inside, and this is what Martinsville all about right here. The curb limits you, and the curb limits you again and again. And look at this.
That was Austin Dillon in the 3, Ricky Carmichael in the 4, and a good example of why there's not enough real estate out there. And take a look at this. We'll be back to more on this in just a moment. That's Johnny Sauter getting Mike Skinner involved in that also. And the blame from some of the teams went on Ron Hornaday in the 33. Back to that in just a moment, but let's take a look at Kevin Harvick. What in the name of Ricky Rudd is going on here as the Tide car wins at Martinsville? or truck, rather.
That's Darrell Waltrip, isn't it,
Yeah,
Kyle?
Darrell Waltrip, Ricky Rudd, Ricky Craven. No, it's Kevin Harvick this time. So we wanted to have a little fun here and do a little dramatic recreation because we are kind of dramatic people here on race day. Let's take a look at the discussion after the race between Johnny Sauter and Ron Hornaday. And Kyle, you be Ron Hornaday, and Kenny, you be Johnny Sauter, okay?
Okay, what are you saying?
What are they saying?
I'll beat your butt, man. I can't believe it. Hey, get out of my way. Don't you? Woo! It's the WWE, baby.
Was that your truck? I didn't see it in front of me. I am so sorry, Johnny. I am so sorry.
This is great.
Johnny, just give me your address. Yeah, just give me your address, and I'll send you some of this Longhorn snuff here. I'll send you some of this stuff over to your shop.
If you get me back, Johnny, if you pay me back, I'm gonna be mean to you.
Yeah, Johnny, just come on over to the house. I'll let you look at my championship trophies.
Right
All
now.
right, so chances are they texted each other today, right?
Oh, yeah,
And
they
made
were
up?
texting. Yeah. I'm sure Hornaday was texting. Hornaday's the man.
All right, well, there could be some maybe retribution coming up as the Camping World Truck Series is getting ready to race once again, this time at Nashville Friday, 7:30 Eastern Time. It's live only on Speed. It's a place where Ron Hornaday has had a lot of success, and who knows, Johnny Sauter might have something to say about that.
I think Kevin Harvick has to be ready to prepare a new truck after he gets wrecked by Johnny Sauter next week.
a little bit of foreshadowing as to what's going on. Let's go now to Wendy, who's standing by with one of the members of the Fab Four for Hendrick Motorsports. Wendy?
I sure am, and that is with Mark Martin. Of course, Mark Martin has 2 wins at this racetrack. You know how to get around this place. You have more experience than any driver in the field with 45 starts going into today, Mark. What's the key for this place at Martinsville?
Well, it's just, there's a lot of keys, really, to be honest with you. The brakes are pretty good today. Usually you can run the brakes pretty hard and survive, but you really need to roll the middle of the corner, turn good in the middle of the corner, and you've got to have good bite up off the corner, and that's always the never-ending challenge here.
How much is this racetrack changing throughout the day? Because now we have rain, we're going to have a green racetrack if we get started today, possibly tomorrow, the cold temperatures. Is it chasing the setup here?
It's going to be incredibly loose, with after the rain and all. And it'll take 100 laps for it to come around, 100 to 150 laps for it to come around. And it'll be a challenge for all the teams and the drivers, but that's what we do.
Now, looking at the points, 16th right now, it's almost too early to talk about that, but do you start questioning it and where you guys fall in the points, or is it just doing everything on a Sunday that you can?
Well, we can't help. We got in 2 wrecks the last 2 races, so we just work on running good and let the points take care of themselves.
All right, Fan Appreciation Day, pretty cool thing that you do in Batesville, Arkansas. I've been to Batesville before, pretty cool town. How special is it to do that for the fans?
It's just, it's a real special time for me. It's so cool to bring NASCAR champions to my hometown and have, everybody, all the home folks get a chance to see them and get autographs and bring some excitement to Batesville. And we have a good time every year. It's going to be really awesome. I'm going to have Darrell Waltrip and my prince of a buddy, Tony Stewart's there for, I think, a 4th year running. Chocolate Myers, Pat Patterson, Sirius Satellite, NASCAR Radio. All kinds of folks are going to be there. It's just, it's a big time. 2 days of a lot of fun, Thursday and Friday, April 1st and 2nd.
Very cool. Well, good luck to you today, Mark Martin. And you can tell, Johnny, we are in this tent because the rain has started to fall. Bummer.
It is a bummer, but it's going to go away, and we're going to go racing here shortly. It's a very easy track to dry because it's just a half mile. Stick with us, everyone. Still have a lot to come on this edition of NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot. Performance picks are coming up, and you know what? Mark Martin might be a pretty good guy to choose for a winner today. One of the many great things going on in the Martinsville area this weekend is the East Coast Flathead Ford Racing Association, along with the Pink Warriors Car Show, brought out some great old race cars to raise money for the American Cancer Society Relay for Life Walk. Just how realistic is this? Well, they got a little shine in the back of the car, and you might notice the name Bobby Myers on one of these race cars. That's Chocolate Myers' dad. And also in that little picture there, you can see Chocolate kind of peeking up over the name Bobby there.
That's Chocolate's head right there. Just a little bit of chocolate right there.
Perhaps racing's most famous gas man. Let's take a look now at the standings for the performance picks. And rookie Kyle Petty
Cheater!
is simply, well, beating up on everybody.
Cheating.
He's
What
got to be
happened?
cheating.
What happened?
I'm going to call Mr. Helton and see if they can pass a rule.
You're
to
killing
slow
I
us.
am so sorry.
You need a restrictor plate, buddy.
This may
You
be
get to go
my week.
first.
Okay, I get to go first. So my picks this week are the 24 of Jeff Gordon. I'm going out on a limb here. Jeff Gordon has dominated this place so many times, but okay, Jeff Gordon. My second pick, Clint Boyer.
Yes.
Clint Boyer. And I think Clint, I watched his news conference the other day, thought he did a great job. And then the 12 car of Brad Keselowski. I'm going with him. And the reason I went with the 24 car, I'm telling you, man, it's time for another one of those Hendricks cars to kind of turn the tables on the 48. The 48 won at a racetrack that he hadn't won at last week, so I'm counting on him not winning at a racetrack he's used to. Hermie?
Hermie!
Hello. Turn me on so
knock.
I can talk.
Anybody home?
I think Wendy turned my microphone off because she's mad because I'm ahead of her. But anyway, let me take my 3 picks. Mark the Kid Martin, we just heard from him. I think it would take a lot of experience for somebody to, as the track changes today, I look for Mark to have a good run, win this race probably. My B pick, A.J. Allmendinger may surprise some people, but he had a great test at Little Rock last week. He's been fast in practice. I'm going with him as my B driver. And Robbie Gordon as my C driver, the number 7 car. Now, 2 reasons. Number 1, he needs points. He needs to have a good day to get back up in that top 35 before we head, a couple weeks to Phoenix and Texas. So he needs a good run. And plus, Blake Shelton's picture's on the car, and I like Blake. So I'm going with those 3. Wendy?
Well, Hermie, I think you're just mad. Just for this 1 week, I'll let you stay up in points. But come next week, well, we have an off week, so maybe in Phoenix. But okay, who am I going with today? Well, my top pick is going to be Mark Martin. I think he's going to end up in victory lane and possibly get me some bonus points. Well, I'm also undecided. In my B group, I have Jeff Burton. Jeff Burton looks really strong for RCR. I kind of call this a home track for the RCR gang. I think they're going to get the job done today. And in my C group, right there, David Strumme in the number 26. Now, 37th in points. It's a week-to-week deal for David Strumme. He looks pretty strong, and I think he's going to keep them up towards that top 35 as we go into Phoenix for our next week, 2 weeks away. Johnny?
Wendy, thanks a lot. We need to get some points, and we need to get them quickly. So we're going with the big red truck. The obvious pick, Mr. Jimmy Johnson, is going to lead us to the front of the pack in the A group. And then over in the B group, we have none other than South Boston's, the pride of South Boston, Jeff Burton. And also in the C group, we're going with Paul Menard. What a great story he's been so far this year. But the number 31 has raced 31 times on this racetrack with 1 win, Kenna Wallace, and he's going to get it done today.
JR, you remind me of the weatherman.
I love that.
He's
or the
like the
whack-a-mole
weatherman.
game, the
Patting him
whack-a-mole.
on the head. Okay, here's my picks. Jimmy Johansson, Jimmy Johnson. He's going to win the race today. And then my B driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Yeah! And then the C group, Paul Menard, because he's really been running good. Driver I want to talk about is Dale Jr. 8th in the points. He has to go to the media center now because he's in the top 12. His confidence high. His team loves him. So go, Junior. Who do I throw it to now?
Nobody, because you're in the basement.
I'm last.
What we do now is we got to give away a great prize to some lucky race fan. And race fans, if you would like to win an official Sunoco racing fuel can, and we know you do out there, visit speedtv.com/Sunoco for entry details, official rules, and drawing dates. We still have the king, Richard Petty, coming by. We're going to take a visit to the Victory Junction camp, and also we will get ready for short track racing at Martinsville. Welcome back, everyone, to NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot. Every driver gets frustrated every weekend. And every driver, well, let's face it, they cuss on the radio every weekend. But when you're Dale Earnhardt Jr., sometimes your emotions during a race make bigger headlines.
I guess we're too fast entering. I don't know how that is because we were winning with the 1. All right, man, we got to pull over and let them go. Oh, lay down on me, bud. Keep digging. Get on the wheel. I can't damn lay down. I don't never lay down. Don't holler at me about that over the radio anyway for the whole world to hear about it. You have a habit of when something happens in the back, you lose sight of the big picture. Our big picture is to get as best finish we can here today. It's just unfortunate. So I had to calm down for a second.
Throughout my career, everybody's always sort of said that I wasn't focused, didn't have, especially when my daddy was alive and he was out there running like he does, you know, and like he was, everybody would compare me to him and say that I lacked so much determination, didn't have the willpower, all that he had, you know. Anytime somebody would say, you know, that I laid down or insinuated that I might or whatever, it just sort of pisses me off a little bit.
Well, here are the facts that we do know about this. Everybody has an eye on Dale Earnhardt Jr. right now, but he has quietly moved his way up to 8th in the points right now, so obviously something's going right on that team. The pressure is on them probably more than anybody else to win, and that pressure is going to boil over from time to time.
I am so loaded with emotions over this situation. It's ridiculous. First of all, let me say this. Dale Jr., it is unfair that he is the most overanalyzed person in the whole world. I mean, it's like, look at him. There he is. Oh, look at him now. Look at him. Look, he's walking to the bathroom. It's ridiculous, okay? Dale Jr. had every right to be mad at his crew chief, and let me tell you why. The worst thing you can say to a driver is don't lay down. As a race car driver, if you tell me I lay down, I will punch you in the face. I race every lap as hard as I can drive. And I know where Dale Jr.'s coming from. Dale Jr., that was the right thing to do. You get back in your crew chief's face. And I know what Lance was trying to say. He was trying to pump you up. But Lance, here's what you should have said. Keep digging for us, Jr. Look at the big picture. Don't go, oh, Jr., don't lay down on us. Don't quit. That's mean. And Kyle, I don't know about you, but don't you ever tell me I'm laying down. You're not in the race car with me, okay? So shut up.
And I agree with that 100%. When you look at it, when he's in that car, you know, and he's in that car, he is the only guy in the world that knows what's going on in that car. He's the only guy in the world that knows what's going on in that head. You know, he said something about people gave him that knock. That's a bad knock. That's BS. That's not who Dale Jr. is. Dale Jr. is his own man, just like Dale Sr. was his own man. And you got to let Dale Jr. go out and drive that car the way he sees fit. Now, if it's there, it's been obvious in the past, he drives the wheels off of it. If the car's not there, he doesn't drive the wheels off of it. But none of us can carry a car. Jimmy Johnson can't carry a car. Jeff Gordon can't carry a car. Tony Stewart can't. And Dale Jr. can't either. It takes a team. And when you have those comments over the air like that, it kind of takes away. It begins to erode that team thing. And you've got to keep building that team up. I think that was a bad comment to make over the air.
Hey, I think I might have got a little out of hand.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
I was very emotional.
You didn't, man.
Yes.
You didn't.
Woo!
Well, one thing Dale Earnhardt Jr. did lay down was a big check for the Victory Junction Gang Camp. And yesterday they had a big celebration there, and we have two great tour guides to take us through the camp, and that's Kyle Petty and Rutledge Wood.
Well, we're here for another beautiful day at Victory Junction Gang Camp. Kyle and I are here for something special. What is it?
Dale Jr. is going to be on the property today, and that's a big day for us. Dale's made a donation to not only the Victory Junction camp in North Carolina, but also the camp in Kansas City. We're going to be making that announcement today, and we're going to be showing him around.
Ooh.
Guess what? We're going to show you guys around. So we're going to treat it like you don't know anything about camp. This is your first visit, and we're going to give you a guided tour.
So camp is all about fun, and one of the most fun things you can do here is go fishing at the Bass Pro Shops Catch, Kiss, and Release. What that means is the kids will catch a fish, got to pick it up, give it a big old kiss, and then you throw it back in the water. This place is fun.
I got one. I got one.
Oh, come.
I'm not kissing this one. I am not kissing this one. All right, here we are on Cabin Row. This is where the kids stay. That's 16 cabins. Each cabin's named after a racetrack. We've got Talladega, we've got Rockingham. Each cabin was sponsored by someone different.
So now we're at the Kyle Petty Charity Ride Across America Water Park. So when it's not closed in the winter like it is right now in the summer, this huge motorcycle behind me is spitting water out every direction. There's a lazy river in the back. There's even this great ramp, and we have waterproof wheelchairs here, so every child gets to come in and just be a kid at the pool.
Another exciting stop at the Victory Junction Gang Camp is Jesse's Horsepower Garage, where kids who have never interacted with animals get to see some animals for the first time. This is Gracie, one of the horses we use at camp. These are the horses that the kids interact with. And it's amazing to watch the horses when they get around kids that are in wheelchairs, when they get around kids that have cancer, when they get around kids with some of the illnesses. These horses seem to have another sense that kind of lets them know that they're special to the kids and the kids are special to them.
Right behind me is Jimmy Johnson's Victory Lanes. Jimmy and his foundation raised all the money to make this beautiful bowling alley, and the kids love it. What a fun day we've had at camp, Kyle.
Man, every day is a great day at camp. I'll let you know that, especially when kids are here. And today was a special day at camp, having Junior here and some of the things that went on. And hopefully this gives everybody the opportunity to see what we've been up to over the last 4 or 5 years. This is our 6th year. Keep the dream alive. That's our slogan this year, to keep Adam's dream alive. Thank you guys for being a part of it.
And everybody out there has helped make it happen. If you want to find out how you can help, check out victoryjunction.org or come down here and volunteer with us.
Man, and I just don't think we're exaggerating when we say that camp is one of the greatest places on earth when you get to see the look in the eyes and the faces of the kids that go there.
It's amazing. You get so many drivers that come over. Harvick comes over. And yesterday, when you look at Dale Jr. there, when you saw those kids and the way those kids interacted with him, it was amazing. And let me be real clear about this. That donation was from Dale Jr. personal, not from Dale Jr.'s foundation. He does so much with Make-A-Wish, but that was out of his personal pocket. So that was a huge deal. Thank you, Dale Jr., for that. Very
awesome.
Yep. A great gesture, and what a great place that camp is. One of the truly positive things about the NASCAR community. We got to take another quick break, but when we come back, weather woman Wendy Venturini will give us an update from the garage as these fans are getting ready to go short track racing at Martinsville.
There's something about win number 50 that brings out the best. The newest member of this special club joins 2 old-timers to talk about what the Big 5-0 means to a career. Heading your way, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
Welcome back to NASCAR Race Day here in Martinsville, Virginia. And the rain has slowed down here, folks, and that's a good sign here at the Speedway. And the rain looks like it might possibly hold off to what? Oh, 5 o'clock later on today is the weather for 70% chance of rain showers. Hopefully, it will stay away from the Martinsville area. It's subsided for now. Now, last week at Bristol, Jimmie Johnson had his first win at the track, his 3rd win in 5 races in 2010. But the important number here, it was his 50th Cup Series win, joining an elite club, 50 Cup wins, joining drivers like 2-time champion Ned Jarrett, Hall of Fame inductee Junior Johnson. These 3 drivers are now tied for 10th on the all-time win list. And earlier in the week, Jimmie Johnson had a meeting of the minds with Junior Johnson and Ned Jarrett, and what better person to mediate that summit than our dear friend, Ken Squire.
The pantheon of NASCAR greatness is so often measured by how many races you win. It's all about winning. And for 44 years, 2 men have been principals in that, call it, top 10. They were Junior Johnson and Ned Jarrett, and they join us today. Junior Johnson was the guy who was right to the floor all the time. And then the other fellow was a totally different kind of personality. Ned Jarrett, they said, was conservative. There's no way that you could ever call him conservative, but smart, cunning, calculating. He was all of that whenever he was in a race car. It seemed appropriate at this time when there is a new member of that group, making it a threesome at 50 races. Californian, different kind of guy. They all share one thing together, and that is desire. So Junior, from your estimation, and you had all kinds of guys race your cars, even at the time you were retiring. You had Bobby Isaac, who I always thought was as good as anybody that ever came down the road. But what is it about Jimmie Johnson, again, leaving the equipment, which you know a lot about, out of the equation, that is putting him where he is today, 4 championships, and on the cusp of taking you 2 fellas really out of the top 10 among all-time winners?
Well, he don't wear his car out, for one thing, and he don't tear it up until he gets it to where he can bear down and drive it better than anybody else. And that's a pretty hard accomplishment of being able to sit back and wait till you have a pit stop and you adjust on it and you do this. Darrell Walters was a lot like that. Cale was sort of like me. He drove it where it was ready to drive or not. And that's not the very best way to do it. And I think that's a lot of his success that he had.
Ned Jarrett, a perspective on the new entry into 50 victories on this very tough circuit.
Well, I see Jimmy as a sort of a cross between Junior and I. As far as our styles were concerned, we already established the fact that Junior was flat out belly to the ground all the time. Jimmy can be that way when he needs to be. Now, I took care of my equipment, tried to be there at the end of the race, and I ran for championships, whereas Junior didn't. And so I knew that I needed to finish the races to gain points and also to get as much money as I possibly could to keep going. And Jimmy has shown that to me, that he's a smart race driver, takes care of his equipment, and when the time comes to go, he goes. I think Darrell Waltrip said on television a few weeks ago, said that he was the best closer that he'd ever seen. And I think that he's proven that, because he'll sit there and he'll be in the top 10 or get up in the top 5, and they think, well, we got him beat today. And then all of a sudden, he's beaten the rest of the field, and that's not just happening. There's a plan behind that. He's got it in his head, his crew has it in their head. They know what to do, know how to win, and he certainly knows how to push that button and turn that wheel at the right time.
Best closer. How do you feel like when you hear that you're the best closer from a guy like Ned Jarrett and Darrell Waltrip?
Can't help but smile and to hear these things. I have so much respect for these guys and what they did to build our sport where it is today. If they weren't the characters and studs they are and were in the day, we wouldn't have a sport to race and compete in. So to have Ned and Junior and DW say those things are really cool. Again, it's kind of mind-boggling, because all I've known is the little world I live in racing and trying to be better at what I do. And to have the success be there now, and to be in this elite club, 50 wins, and the great things being said, I kind of feel like I'm watching a movie at times. It's a weird experience.
Well, now that you're here, you've won 50 races, 4 championships, and all that money. You are ready to retire?
Negative. No. I hope to continue simplifying the sport for myself. I think that has been a big key for me, and really not paying attention to numbers or totals or whatever that is. And there's something inside that car when I climb out of it, I know when I've done a good job. And it's not always the fact that you're carrying a trophy. There are days when things don't go your way, and you get up on the wheel and you earn your money, and you get the best finish you can, and it might be a 15th that day. And that feeling is what I live by, and I've always lived for. Because like we said earlier, I didn't have all this great success growing up, and there was something that kept me coming back to the track week in and week out. And as long as that fire's there and that desire's there, I'll be in a race car.
Well, 54 isn't that far away. Say bye-bye to Junior Johnson and Ed Jarrett in the top 10. And 55, Rusty Wallace is right in front of that. Does that ever cross your mind?
It is starting to now. The last, especially when I tied Cale with 3 in a row. I didn't really pay a lot of attention to where I fit into history, and then that kind of activated my mind in that area. And then to win the 4th, and then now to be where we are and win totals. Even at certain tracks, we've won a lot of races at some tracks and are challenging totals there as well. So it's a new part of my life that I'm paying attention to, and I'm excited to challenge those titles.
Jimmy Johnson ready to retire? I think not, but calling Ned Jarrett and Junior Johnson studs, a quote by Jimmy Johnson, I would agree with that. Now, next up on the list is number 9 on that all-time win list, and Kyle, as you know, as your grandfather Lee Petty with 54 wins, it's not too far away of an accomplishment for Jimmy Johnson to handle.
No, it's not, and he will definitely get to 50. He's going to go past that. And but here's the amazing part. I remember when my father beat my grandfather's record and went to 55, when he tied it at 54 and went to 55. I remember when Richard Petty won 100, and then when he went to 200. And here's, you listen to that interview, and here's what I always say. Athletes don't start out thinking about history. Great athletes don't go out saying, I'm going to be a great athlete. I'm going to go out and make history. Great athletes make history. That's why they're great athletes. They just go out and play the game, and that's what Jimmy's saying. I just play the game the way I want to play it. Let the records fall where they may, and let the cards fall where they may.
Is Jimmy the modern-day driver that reminds you guys the most of a guy like Junior Johnson or Ned Jarrett, or are there other drivers in the modern era that race like that?
It's so hard to compare. We always want to compare, and you just can't, because we got the race for the chase. I mean, you can go back and look and say, was this guy like that guy? It's just so different. But what I think we all can compare to is success. in this era, Junior Johnson did this. In this era, Ned Jarrett, and we grew up with so many different people. But one thing I want to say is this. When my brother Rusty Wallace won his 50th race at Bristol, they had Star Spangled Banner, baby. They were shooting fireworks and the 50 sign. There was something about Jimmy Johnson. When he won number 50, it's almost like we expected. He's been winning so much. There was no Star Spangled Banner. I want to applaud our own network here at Speed for noticing that this guy won 50 races last week. We never even talked about it until like on Monday. It's like, hey, Jimmy Johnson won 50. I'm like, what? So, I think we expect so much out of Jimmy now that there will be a day he slows down a little bit like Jeff Gordon.
What do you think, Kyle?
No, and I agree. I think we just expect it out of this team. I think we expect it out of Chad. And when you expect it, then it's something totally different. You know what I mean? And it's just, yeah, we knew that was going to happen. Yeah, we know he's going to get to 60. Yeah, we know he's going to get to 70. That kind of thing. But going 50 last week, I don't think I've ever seen Jimmy more excited and winning a race.
And nobody made a big deal out of it.
I think we made a bigger deal on Victory Lane than anybody else made at that point in time because we did expect him to do 50. I don't think anybody expected it to come at Bristol with the record that he had at Bristol.
Exactly, but he got it done nonetheless. And now he's part of a very elite club. And we'll have more from that elite club and part 2 of that feature coming up a little bit later on NASCAR Race Day. But when we come back, we'll talk about legends of a different kind. Stay with us. Today on Race Day, we're hearing a lot from legends, Junior Johnson and Ned Jarrett, but the Legends Million is coming to Charlotte Motor Speedway, one of the richest races ever for that particular racing division. It's July 14th through 17th. All you got to do to get more information is to go to the website, and also anyone can compete. Go to uslegendcars.com and find out how you can get your part of the business.
I got some security footage from a guy from over there that sent me some stuff about a guy that was trying to get in to test one of these Legends cars.
Oh my God.
Look at this. This is in the shop over there. This
Somebody's
guy goes
breaking in.
Yeah, he broke in to get in the car. I think he's going for the $1 million. See if you can recognize him.
I don't.
It's kind of hard. Maybe he'll push your car
Who
back
is
in line.
this?
I don't know, because you know how grainy security footage is. It's kind of hard to see sometimes.
Somebody's breaking in.
Yeah.
Trying to win. What is that, 200? How much did it pay to win that race?
I don't know. It's that $1 million
A lot.
race. It's a lot of money. Where's he at? That's I think
Surveillance
it's,
footage. Is that Jimmy
You
Spencer?
know what?
I think
I
it's,
bet
it's Jimmy Spencer. Jimmy Spencer.
Jimmy
Spencer got
Spencer.
in that car, baby.
Can
Now,
he fit in the Legends
You could tell
car?
from the body
I
shape.
can't.
You could tell from the body shape when he came in there.
You know,
I
That's what it was.
can't fit in the Legends car.
That's it.
Jimmy Spencer coming back in the Legends.
When we come back to NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot, we will update you on the situation of the driver, the number 11 car. Denny Hamlin is going in for some surgery this week. We'll tell you how it might affect his title hopes.
Martinsville Speedway. NASCAR Race Day continues on, and inside the garage area, the drivers' meeting has ended. Drivers are getting ready for the green flag as we get closer and closer. The rain has stopped, which is good news. Denny Hamlin patiently waiting, and also patiently waiting for a lot of reasons, and that has to do with that torn ACL, that left knee. Possible surgery for tomorrow. Give us the latest update.
Well, I'm really hoping we get it in today. You know, if we can't, it's going to be possibly Wednesday before they can do it. So we're praying it happens today, because ultimately then I'm going to be just 9 days out. So I need to get as much recovery time as possible.
Now, originally, because of this injury that you had in the offseason playing basketball, you thought you were going to wait until the next offseason at the end of this season. It's caused too many complications, but the good news is you have drivers on standby, that being Casey Mears, in case you have to get out.
Yeah, I mean, Casey is the best option for that we thought could go and get us a good finish. She's really done well over the last couple of years, and I know they're trying to get that program going. Raymond Key and those guys. So we're just going to see if he was available, and he said he'd be willing to do it. And there's a possibility I'll be able to go the whole way, and maybe we won't need him. And but for him to step up and say that he would do it for us, it definitely helps.
I love watching you race at this racetrack. It's your hometown, so to speak, your hometown track. How excited do you get when you come racing at Martinsville?
I just love racing here. It's just a great racetrack to come watch a race. It's it seems like from every seat in the house you can, because I've sat here, you can see everywhere around the racetrack. It's really just a local short track Saturday night race that we have on Sunday afternoons here.
Now, you have a March of Dimes paint scheme coming up in Phoenix in 2 weeks. It's always cool when they get together. It's been a relationship with them and FedEx, and you're going to be doing it again this year.
Yeah, we're trying to raise awareness for the marchforbabies.org, and we encourage people to go there and either make a donation or march yourself, and because ultimately we're trying to march for healthy babies, and we've done that. Last year we raised $1.4 million of awareness through FedEx, and it's just been a great relationship we've had over them for the last 3 years.
Very cool. We look forward to seeing that. Hopefully you will be in that car for Phoenix for the full time. Good luck to Denny Hamlin, who of course starts 19th with this rain out from qualifying. Hermie?
We've got crew chief Steve Latartnip. Your driver has an unbelievable record here, obviously. 7 wins, 7 poles, but I know what concerns you more is none since 2005. How do you change that today?
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely right. You know, Jeff's been great here for years. I mean, that's one good reason I think the 48 is so successful, and we have consistently been successful, is he has such a good feel. He can lead us in a good direction, but we struggle in that last 100 laps. We're good to lap 400, and then we're just not as good as we need to be. So DuPont Chevrolet's got a whole new setup, something completely different under the hood today. We're going to try that. You know, this is a race that I feel come chase time, if you're lucky enough to be in the chase, this is a must win or a must 1-2 to have a chance at the championship. So we're going to get aggressive today and hopefully have a plan come the fall.
I heard you say on an interview early this week that we're not going for another top 10 finish. If we have to run, you know, outside the top 10 to try to win, that's what we're going to do. What have you changed as far as your, not necessarily setup-wise, but your mindset to try to say, hey, we're going to go outside the box and try to win if that means, you know, not having that solid top 5?
Well, I mean, that's absolutely right. I mean, Jeff and I sat down this winter, we looked at our stats, and for the last 4 or 5 years, we've been so consistent with top 5s that you would think that would get the results we're looking for, and it just hasn't. And the blueprint's there. 48's done it year in and year out with wins, so we've told ourselves that we're not going to let the ups and downs of the sport get us down. If we go run 15th or 18th or 20th, that's okay, as long as we know our goal was to win, and that's what we were aggressive in trying to do. So come here to Martinsville, where we might not look great or we might look spectacular. We're going to definitely take some chances and hopefully try to get ahead of the curve.
And talk a little bit about the challenges of pit road, a tight pit road here. A lot of stuff can go on this pit road. Tell us, you know, does that affect your strategy? It depends on how you're doing it at the time on the track.
Well, really, and pit road strategy has changed a lot with the wave by and the lucky dog. It used to come to Martinsville and by lap 400, there'd be 20 cars in the lead lap. Pit road would have cleared out. You really had a little more room to maneuver, but not anymore. With the wave bys and the lucky dogs and all the different rules we have, there'll be 25 or 30 cars in the lead lap at the end of this thing. So it's going to stay tight all day long. It's a place, it's hard to win a race on pit road, but it's really easy to lose one, especially here at Martinsville. So we'll just try to keep the fenders on it and settle it on the racetrack.
Well, these guys, Steve Latart's saying it all. 28 top 10s and 34 starts for Jeff Gordon, but that's not good enough. They want to get back to victory lane starting today.
Hermie, thanks a lot. He's the most successful active driver on this racetrack with 7 wins. Now, Denny Hamlin has won at this place before. I want to go back to Denny because every year that he has raced in the Sprint Cup Series, he's made the chase. But what's different about Sprint Cup racing as opposed to other sports is you simply can't miss a race. There's no room for error. If he goes to a backup driver, can he still win the championship?
I want to root Denny on. He's a great guy, but I do not think that he can contend for the championship. I think he can make the top 12 with a little bit of help from Casey Mears. Now, this is going to be a turning point in Denny Hamlin's life. Why? Because what happens if he has to get out of his car and then all of a sudden Casey Mears runs really good in it? He's going to go, man, my car can run good without me. That will make you want to love the sport more. Makes you more energetic and you want to come back. So I think it could be a turning point for the good for Denny.
Yeah, and I don't think he's got a shot at the championship once he's hurt. I really don't. And I think Carl's the example that we used from last year. Carl hurt his ankle playing Frisbee. And you say, does that bother you? You don't think it does, but it just nags at you. It nags at you. I'm going to tell you what, this is a hard place to come with a knee injury. It's a hard place to come when you're healthy, but it's a hard place to come with a knee injury, and it's going to bother Denny. And I think Denny's going to have to step out of the car. Can that car stay in the championship race? Can he be a contender? Yes, but rehab, it's a tough road back. But let me tell you something. You tell a driver they can't do it, tell you what they're going to do. They're going to go out and do it. So forget everything I said. Look at Denny's heart, because Denny's going to go out there and he's going to make it happen.
And you know, when you look at it that way, it makes Jimmy Johnson's 4 championships in a row all the more impressive, because there's simply no room for error when you're running for a championship. And when we come back, we will go back up inside of that very exclusive 50-win club as we continue our talk with a couple of legends and a future legend of the sport.
With a big win in Jimmy's rear view, he's back to talk shop with Junior and Ned. with our pal Ken leading the way. Part 2 of the Club 50 Summit is coming at you. NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
Race car drivers, let's go for a ride around the Martinsville Speedway with Kyle Busch. What's he doing here?
Kyle Busch right now, he wants the curb. That's the fastest way around. Up off the corner, look, it goes from concrete to asphalt. Look, asphalt, asphalt, concrete. Kyle Petty, 2 different textures here at this track.
Yeah, and you know, you heard Mark Martin earlier in the day talk about how slick this place would be. It's slick because of the concrete, because it doesn't take rubber real fast. It takes a long time for it to take rubber when it's wet or when it's a green racetrack. These guys have put down a lot of rubber here, so if we get any weather and it washes this off, that's when the racetrack changes.
Now let's go join our friend Joey Logano as he takes us on the Home Depot hot lap around the Martinsville Speedway.
Hey, I'm Joey Logano with your Home Depot hot lap. Last week at Bristol didn't go the way we wanted it to. We had a really fast car, got the pole, and had a tire go down real early in the race and put us behind the 8 ball, put us 3 laps down, and kind of struggled all day, but we had a good car. We had a good top 10 car, but kind of got stuck back here 3 laps down. So now we're off to Martinsville. Martinsville is completely different than Bristol. Real flat racetrack, same length at least, but you know, heavy on the brakes. And you know, really struggle on trying to get your car, just like everywhere else, trying to get the thing to turn and get drive off. Drive off here seems like the most important thing of anything. So you know, qualifying got rained out, and you know, we started in 17, so I felt like we had a better car in qualifying in terms of practice. So that kind of stinks, but you know, I've seen a lot of guys do it before and come from the back here and get up front, and it's going to take a good race car and awesome pit stops to get us up there.
Thanks to Joey and Kyle Petty. You told us earlier in this weekend that they've improved the brakes so much here that the brakes aren't really that big of a concern anymore, but you do have to protect your equipment here.
You have to protect the whole drivetrain, and the brakes are part of that, you know, and I think that's the big issue now. When you look at these cars, this race is won and lost a lot of times back at the shop, the weeks leading up to. It's the small details. It's making sure that the vents for the rear end coolers, making sure that everything works in the transmission, making sure everything's tight. The brake technology has come so far. You know, we talk about, used to come up here with drum brakes, and they went to rotors. Now the stuff that these manufacturers come out with, it's just truly amazing how good these brakes are. If the brakes wear out, most of the time it's because the driver rode the pedal or something that the driver did, or you can have catastrophic failure when a part breaks. But just hammering the brakes, hammering the brakes, hammering the brakes, you don't wear them out like you used to.
You know, but one thing that can get you in trouble here with your brakes that we kind of forgot about, now that you have good brakes and they hold up, it gets the wheel real hot. So what's that do? That melts the tire. The rubber on the tire actually melts, and you blow a right front tire out. So yay, now we've got brakes the whole race. We're going to drive like maniacs, but what happens is the heat. Look at this. We got the best in the United States. I mean, we're talking great drivers that all of a sudden have to pay attention because their brakes work too good. They get heat, blow right front out, so you got to be careful.
Now let's go to the gentleman who finished in the position number 12 in the Camping World Truck Series race yesterday. That is Hermie Sadler, and Hermie's going to talk about these pit boxes because, Herm, you can really get in trouble in the pits here.
He's coming in right here, pit stop, go around the right side of the car. Look at all these pit boxes, how narrow they are, and they're curved around this turns 3 and 4 here at Martinsville Speedway. Not a lot of room here on pit road. It never fails. Sometime during the course of this day today, somebody will make a mistake, whether it be a driver or a pit crew member, either entering the pits during the pit stop or leaving after your pit stop and making contact with another driver on pit road. It happens every year. And as far as on the racetrack, the Goodyear tires were really good yesterday. You could run long runs, over 150, 200 laps on some tires. So track position will dictate sometimes what your strategy is on pit road. The least amount of time you can come to pit road, the better your chances to win this race today. Johnny?
Hermie, thanks a lot, and congratulations once again on a great run in the Truck Series race yesterday. Great for a guy who doesn't drive too often to jump behind the wheel of that truck and do that kind of a job. We got the fans out here with us at the stage. They're ready to go inside and check out some short track racing, but first we're going to hear from some more legends when we come back. Welcome back, everyone, to the Martinsville Speedway. And down here in this part of the country, you can check out the Virginia Museum of natural history. It is full of artifacts from the area and some amazing displays from one of the first settled states here in the United States. Stop by on your way in or out of the racetrack. And a couple of guys who have made history over the years have joined up with one of our most recent history makers in NASCAR for what we call a Legends Summit. It's a discussion between Jimmy Johnson, Junior Johnson, and Ned Jarrett. And let's go back to Ken Squire for part 2.
So we've been discussing the triumphs in winning 50 races, to be part of that very special group at the top of the heap with Junior Johnson, Jimmy Johnson, no relation, and Ned Jarrett. So Jimmy, here we are, Charlotte Motor Speedway, and you're sitting between two of the true legends of this game, legends of the sport. What's it make you feel like?
It's pretty darn amazing, to be honest with you. You know, I spent so much time in my little world in Southern California and didn't learn a lot about the sport because we didn't have the TV packages and all that, you know, we do today to watch and view our sport. But with that said, I knew these names, and coming to the East Coast and being around and seeing Junior in the garage area and Ned, I knew these names and just looked at them like, you know, they had some magical answer as to how to be successful in the sport or something. I don't know what it was. It's just,
well, look, that's what it is.
That's Junior Johnson. That's, you know, it's wild. But now after experiencing the wins, and I see young kids look at me now and think that I have some magical answer, I guess now I know that there really isn't one. You know, you just go out and do what you can. And I'm so honored to be where I am today. Find it quite amazing to have won 50 races at the Cup level. And to be here between these guys and on the all-time win list, it's really special.
So let's talk to the experts. Ned Jarrett, how much further do you think in the career of Jimmy Johnson will continue to be like a skyrocket?
Well, I think that he has at least another 10 or 12 years of racing the way that he's doing it now. And no telling how many championships he might win or how many races he might win. He certainly has the talent, and he has the equipment and everything behind him and the people that is needed. And so I think the sky is still the limit as far as he's concerned. It just depends on how long he wants to do it.
Junior Johnson?
You know, Ned's correct on what he says. He's good health. You know, he takes care of his car and stuff, and he can go a long, long time. He's certainly got everybody, you know, by the throat right now.
He certainly does. Is it hard to think that now you are them, that it's your responsibility, as Jarrett proved and as Junior Johnson proved, to continue to let the sport grow through them as representatives, with those young people that look up to you and can emulate you? And it's so important today, particularly for this game, because this is a tough, rough game.
It is a tough game, and I feel like as time goes on and I have more years in the sport, that I develop more of a voice and earn the right to kind of stand up and help represent the sport. I know I have 4 championships and 50 wins now, and that should give me a lot of credibility, but I feel that time in the sport and time in age in life, before you really start saying things and pushing your weight around, you just need a little bit more of that. So I feel like I'm kind of coming into my own and finding my legs on that right now, and I still love to hear and see you know, the involvement from the guys that have been in the sport forever and ever. I mean, their voices and what they have seen over the years really helps us young guys understand where it came from and how stuff worked. And history has a tendency to repeat itself. And maybe the sport's bigger now in some respects, but it's still the same cycle that goes on and on and on. And before I get too mouthy about things and try to carry too much on my back, I just need a few more years to understand everything.
So there you have it. 3 50-time winners. 2 of them have hung around in here being part of the game for 44 years. And 1, brand new guy, just within a month. And the future for NASCAR racing, I don't think, has ever looked much rosier than it does now. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's the list of all-time winners in Sprint Cup competition. There's some legendary names up there as well. Of course, the King at 200, David Pearson, Darrell Waltrip right behind them. Jimmy Johnson has a ways to go yet to catch his teammate, Jeff Gordon, with 82 wins. But here is the big question, guys. Same thing we asked Junior and Ned. How far can this guy go?
Jimmy Johnson is 34 years old. Let's give him another 10. Let's put him at 44 years old. Let's give him 2 wins a year, which, you know, that's ridiculous, what I'm saying. and when he's 44 years old, at that slow pace, he'll have 70 wins. I really think he's going to win 80 wins. That's what I think he's going to win. And he will prove me wrong. He'll win more, I think.
Yeah. And I don't think you know. I don't think you can figure it out, because here's the deal. Richard Petty would have more wins and more championships if Darrell Waltrip had never come along. And Darrell Waltrip would have more wins and more championships if Earnhardt Sr. had never come along. And Earnhardt Sr., and we can keep going down that road forever and ever. Jeff Gordon may have 6 or 7 championships by now if Jimmy Johnson had not come along. So the question is, Mark Martin's 51 years old. Who's Rick Hendricks going to put in that car, and who's going to stop Jimmy from inside that organization? Because that seems to be where it is. So it really depends on the next wave. I think everybody has a wave, and everybody has a time. Great drivers have. And it's really going to depend on who comes along and stops that. I don't think Jimmy and those guys are going to beat themselves. I think it's really unlimited. But, man, I can't look into the crystal ball.
I just want to say quickly, I like Kyle Petty's assessment. You know, sometimes people want definitive answers. Who's going to win? What's going to happen? We love predictability. Kyle is right. In sports, everything's about timing. Look at Denny Hamlin's knee. I mean, we didn't see that coming.
And right now is the time for Jimmy Johnson, no question about that. 6 wins on this racetrack so far and could possibly get another one today. There's no reason he can't. When we come back, we got the King, Richard Petty, is going to stop by and join us. Talk to us here on NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
In 2 weeks, Mark used a spring desert win to kickstart his memorable 09 season. And he needs a solid finish to leap back into the points chase this year. But the Valley of the Sun is Jimmy's playground. And he's not looking to give anyone time on the swings. Who shines under the stars? Live from Phoenix, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
Welcome back to Race Day, built by the Home Depot, here from Martinsville Speedway, and nothing else left to be said, but the King is joining us right here on NASCAR Race Day. Look at that famous Petty Blue, number 43, and we talked about Jimmy Johnson, 7 wins. We talked about Jeff Gordon with 6, but they don't total your 15 here as a driver. Tell us about this place.
Well, it was one of our better racetracks, I guess. We'll sort of call it a home track, but anyhow, you know, if we didn't run good anywhere else during the year, we come to Martinsville and usually done pretty good. So we always really look forward to coming up here, and still do from that standpoint.
I'm not sure if you watched it, but I interviewed Jimmy Johnson back at Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and he's a champ too. I told him his glasses were not cool, but your glasses are very cool.
Well, I've been wearing them for a long time. I got in the habit of wearing them when we used to run dirt tracks and stuff, and you know, I guess it's just one of them things that just sort of stuck with me, and you know, this is what you see is what you get, I guess.
No question about that. Now talk about Richard Petty Motorsports. Obviously a lot of changing going on with your organization, switched over the Fords, and your cars have had some speed. You got to get the finishes to go with them, but the cars look pretty good this weekend on the racetrack.
Well, they're getting better, I think. You know, us learning the Ford, or those guys learning the Ford situations about the horsepower and the torque and all that stuff is a little bit different than the Dodge. So, you know, some of the setups I think have been a little bit different than what we ran into last year. And, you know, from time to time we'll get 1 or 2 of them hit it pretty good. And if we can get a little bit of luck going our way, we're going to be okay. But we got to get a little bit better.
A lot of the theme in the last couple of weeks with NASCAR, this year for that matter, has been back to basics. A big change coming up has been going back to the spoiler starting here, which might not be a big deal today, but looking forward to Charlotte and down the line could be a bigger deal. What is your thoughts on NASCAR going back to the spoiler, and how do you think it'll change the competition on the racetrack?
Yeah, I don't think that spectators are going to see a lot of difference. I think the drivers and the crews are going to have to make a few adjustments, but not any major thing. They still run these things through the wind tunnel. They know they got to have so much downforce on the rear, so they give them a spoiler that basically gives them the same downforce as what the wing did. You know, I guess everybody looks at it and says, okay, looks more like a race car now
especially a NASCAR car. And, you know, from that standpoint, that's about the only change I'm going to see.
Well, these guys are looking forward to getting back to victory lane. Richard Petty Motorsports, all three cars running good on the racetrack today. And Wendy, as we go to you, if you take a look, you can't really see it right now because it's covered up, but that number 19 today is doing with that Petty blue. So hopefully Elliott can give that car a good run today. Let's go over to Wendy.
Thanks, Herm. We're getting a sneak peek at that race car. I'm with Darian Grubb, crew chief for Tony Stewart, the pride of Floyd, Virginia, about 45 miles from here. Does it feel good to kind of come home to your home track and try and get a win here today?
It does. It's great to be back close to home. There's got a lot of friends and family in the stands, and this is kind of where I started racing. That first race I actually came to was a late model race here, and I got started in it and just been loving this place ever since.
Now, I love your personality, and you have one of the greatest ones to work with when it comes to personality in the garage areas with your driver, Tony Stewart. We see how he kids around with the photographers as he did yesterday. And earlier in the weekend, hell of a scuffle in practice. Explain to us what happened.
Just an altercation with qualifying. We were a lot faster than the car that pulled out in front of us. We were on our last lap, and he was on his first lap. So we caught him too quick and just ended up hitting him and coming off of turn 2. But it's nobody's fault, really, just one slow car, one fast car, and neither one was going to give up at that point. But the car's fixed up, and we're ready to go.
All right, you can tell from the breath coming from our mouths when we're talking the cold temperatures we have here in Martinsville. How is that affecting your setup for Tony's car?
Biggest things we're doing just watching for the rain or the snow flurries, whichever going to happen. But we built a lot of adjustability into it just in case we don't get to run today. That way we can be ready to race tomorrow. But it looks like right now there's a gap in the radar to where we should be able to get it in. And hopefully we got enough adjustability to make Tony happy as we get in. The track warms up a little bit and gets a little rubber laid down. There's going to be a lot of adjustments going on.
All right, good. That's positive news from Darian Grubb. 7 wins for this crew chief. 4 of them have been with Tony Stewart. Johnny?
Wendy, thanks a lot. And by the way, 3 drivers in the field today are from Virginia. Any of those 3 certainly would like to bring home the victory in front of the hometown crowd. We got to take another break. When we come back, a final word on NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot from Martinsville, Virginia.
NASCAR Race Day is built by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. And brought to you in part by Camping World. The Camping World Destination Recreation Sweepstakes is back and better than ever. We're offering more prizes and more chances to win this year. Log on to campingworld.com and enter today.
All right, here's the good news. Right now, the weather is looking very good to get this full race in. So if you've been hesitating, get on out here to Martinsville. You still have time to join us. And you see the heavy stuff's not coming down for quite a while, not till 5 p.m. Eastern time. Let's now check in with the Chad. Chad Canals for our Sunoco Pit Strategy of the Week.
At Bristol, we knew it was going to be exciting, so I tell you what, we'll get rid of that high bank half-mile racetrack and we'll go drag racing. Not like you would typically think. We're going to go drag racing at Martinsville Speedway. This place is so difficult. You've got 2 relatively long straightaways connected by 2 very, very tight corners. You're going to accelerate down the straightaways. You're going to pound on the brakes, stop the car, roll the center of the corner, and accelerate as hard as you can down the next straightaway. It is so, so difficult to get around this racetrack, and it takes a lot of items to make this deal work for 500 laps. You've got to have patience as a driver. You got to be ready for guys to beat on you, bang on you, push you, and move you out of the way, especially with the double foul restarts. You've got to be easy on your mechanical side of the race car. It's very tough on gears, very tough on brakes. You've got to pay attention to your tire wear. A lot of factors go into that. You have to be ready if you're on the pit crew. Qualifying is so important here because pit road is very, very difficult. It's a long pit road. It's not like Bristol where you have a front straightaway and a back straightaway. Here it goes the whole length of the racetrack almost, and you have to pit actually on the curve. So if you qualify well, you can get a little bit better pit pick. So it's a very, very difficult race to call, a very, very difficult race to run. You have to realize 135 laps to a Sunoco fuel run, that puts out some options for the guys. Typical green flag run here is only about 40, maybe 45 laps. So you're going to have some guys in the back of the pack stay out maybe when the leaders pit. And the leaders, when they stay out, the guys in the back will pit. And you're going to see a lot of leapfrogging, so a lot of shake-up in track position. But I can promise you at the end of the race, the best car and the best team will win this race.
After the checkered flag is waved, be sure to check out NASCAR Victory Lane, fueled by Sunoco, and catch all of the race highlights in raw emotion straight from Victory Lane. Also, go to speedtv.com, keyword Sunoco, to enter for your chance to win an autographed flag signed by the winner of today's race. Who will that be? Well, tune to your local Fox affiliate now to find out, and we'll see you tonight on Victory Lane.